All right, let's talk about target audiences because I've been hearing some of you tell me, ask you who your target audience is, and you say it's everyone or whoever can afford my products, or it's women, or like that. It's just so general, and I get it. When you just getting into it, when you're just getting started with entrepreneur content creation, you don't really see or understand the value of how important it is knowing who your target audience is. So basically, what I'm here to do is tell you why it's so crucial, why it's so important that you really have a clear understanding about who your target audience is. And I'm going to give you a little gift if you watch to the end. I got something for you. It's going to help you make it super clear. All right. Make sure you stick to the end. If you don't know who I am, my name is Unveil. I am a personal branding and content strategist. I help entrepreneurs and content creators get in front of their target audience and create the content that they're looking for so that they can add $10,000 to $20,000 of monthly revenue to their brand in less than 90 days. If you want to know more about that, there's a link somewhere down in the description or something. The reason this is really important is because when it comes to content creation, social media, all this, the digital landscape, it changes so fast. You have to stay on top of it. Every day there's new trends, there's new editing styles, there's new platforms. There's always a new platform. There's always new people. There's always going to be new people coming in looking for attention. Really what all this is about, the social media, content creation, all this is really about getting attention from your target audience. In order to get their attention, you have to create content that they're looking for, create content that makes them stop scrolling, that gets their attention, that gets them engaged, right? And as more and more people start creating content, they're putting content out into the world, they're posting videos, as more and more people start to hop into these platforms, it's getting more and more crowded. Like, imagine you're standing in a big room, a giant room, and it's just filled with people talking. That's kind of what social media is, what content is. If you don't know who your target audience is, you're basically just yelling into that room, trying to find people, trying to get your message out into that room while everybody else is in that room yelling out just as loud, trying to get their content in front of people just as much as you are, if not more. So when you know who your target audience is, when you know exactly who your product is for, who your content is meant for, when you're very clear on that, it goes from yelling into the crowded room, just hoping that somebody hears your messages. Instead, you're walking directly up to people like, oh, this is what I have, and I think you'd be a good fit for it. One of the big issues that a lot of creators and entrepreneurs have is they say that their audience is everyone. There's 25 to 34, anybody who can afford my products, very like general terms like that. And that's okay. Usually that's more defining who your target market is, not necessarily who your target audience is. Target market is anybody that could potentially be interested in your products. A target audience is a very specific group in that market that you're focused in on. Your content is focused on them. Your offer is focused on them. Everything you're doing is focused on that market, and more specifically, one person in that market. But we'll get to that in a second. It's a very popular phrase in marketing. When you try to sell to everyone, you sell to no one. Your message, your voice, it gets lost in the sea of what everybody else is talking about. You don't stand out. You blend in. You look like everybody else. You sound like everybody else. You're not being specific with who you're targeting. You're not being clear on who this is meant for. So when it comes to your target audience, one of the biggest benefits you get is better ROI. And that's across the board. You have better ROI from your content, better ROI from the time you spend investing into different areas of your business, money, whether it's getting a funnel built, copy written, emails written, content created. All of this performs better. It gets you better results. The more clear and defined that target audience is, get you better engagement. People are more likely to stop and interact and like your post and comment on your post when it's very clear, oh, this is meant for me. If there's a post that goes up and says 5 skincare tips you need to try, right? That can work, that can do good. But if she was to post a post that says 5 skincare tips for busy moms who don't have time for a skin routine, that will be much more effective, especially if her target audience was busy moms who don't have time for their skin. And she had a product that she was selling, like a skincare regimen, some easy routine, 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. If that was her audience and that was her focus, a piece of content that's literally calling out this person or telling this piece of content was made specifically for you, that piece of content is going to do a lot better than just a basic piece of content that's general and talking to everybody. Does that make sense? So next thing you might be wondering is, how do I figure out who my target audience is? And the way I like to have my clients do it and have my students do it, I have them create what's called an avatar. This can be called an ideal client avatar, perfect client, perfect customer avatar. There's a couple different names for it, but I have them create an avatar, and this avatar focuses on 3 things. It focuses on their demographics, which is like name, income, job, education level, stuff you can measure, normal stuff like that, right? Then I have them focus on the psychographics. Those are more psychological things, ideas, ideals, thoughts, beliefs, fears, pains, like problems that you can't really see on the surface, things you wouldn't really know just by looking at somebody. It's something you have to talk to them or get more information from them to find out that they're dealing with. And then the last one is behavior patterns. How do they act? How do they act online? How do they buy? What causes them to buy? Are they impulse buyer? Are they somebody who shops around for a couple weeks before they make that decision? All of these things are very important to know when it comes to who you're dealing with, because that's going to affect how you put out content, the type of content you put out, and your expectations from that content. If you know your target audience isn't somebody who's just up late at night scrolling ready to buy, especially if you're selling a high ticket product and you are targeting impulse buyers, most impulse buyers aren't spending $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 at 2 a.m. just on the whim. Like it takes time. You usually have to talk to them, figure out what they're dealing with, let them know that you have the solution that they're looking for. A lot of this information can be found through social media, whether it's using your analytics, your insight, different tools like Metricool. One of the best ways is by talking to people you've already worked with, talking to your current audience, talking to current or past customers, and just asking them questions, asking them why they bought from you, what problems were they dealing with, what issues were they trying to get over that made them want to work with you or want to buy from you. I actually have a avatar sheet. It's called the Build It Avatar Worksheet. I created that for people going through my 12-week course so they can really go through and dial in on who that target audience is by building that avatar out and getting really, really clear on who that person is. I'm putting a link to that down in the description. It's free. Go ahead, download it. And it also helps you get clear on who's not your audience. Because I think one of the most important things about figuring out who your target audience is also understanding who isn't part of your audience, who doesn't fit into your program, who can you not help, or who do you not want to work with. Think of your avatar as building out like the perfect customer. Think about who you would like to work with. Who would be the perfect person for you to work with? The person who's ready to pay you, who's super excited to work with you. You don't have to chase them down to find out about payments or when they're going to do what they're supposed to do. Like they're on it, they're on their shit, and they're ready to get to that next stage or get to that next level. Figuring out who that person is. And if you could have like 1,000 of that person and only work with that person for the rest of your life, who would that person be? That's kind of what I want you to use the avatar worksheet for, right? Make sure you go download that. So this is my avatar, at least all the information I have about him. There's a lot of information in here. I put it onto the screen, but yeah, this just came from me just writing down. I opened up a document and just literally started writing down everything I could think of about who I wanted to work with and who I have worked with, who I've seen success working with, things I've encountered in the past that I didn't really like or I wasn't too fond of that I wouldn't want to work with, or I wouldn't want to have that as a part of my avatar. Think of it like having a dating checklist. One of my friends asked me this the other day. We went to dinner and she was just saying she's had bad luck with relationships, people she's chosen to date or whatever. And I asked her, do you know what you want in a future relationship or a future partner? She was like, no, not really. It was like, okay, well, do you know what you don't want from a partner? What has happened in the past? What from your past relationships, things like that? What has happened that you know, like, that's a red flag, that's a non-negotiable, I'm not dealing with that again. Like, and she kind of paused. She was like, oh, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. Is that like something I should have? I was like, yeah, absolutely. I don't know where I got it from or who told me about, but like I've over the past 5-10 years, just like from all the women I've dated, anybody I've been out with, somebody I've talked to, anything like that, if there's something glaring, something that stood out where it's like, I know I don't want this, I don't want to deal with this again, I don't like that shit. For example, for the longest time, anytime I was on dating apps, all the girls I would match with, we'd start talking, and for some reason they just never asked any questions about me. Like, I thought it was the weirdest shit. I thought I was weird for expecting girls to like take an interest and want to know more about me, but like for the longest time it was like I just wouldn't meet any women that would ask any questions about me. I thought it was the weirdest shit. So once I realized, I was like, oh no, that's a normal thing. Like there are women out there that do ask about you, that do take interest, that want to know more about you. Once I figured that out, I put that straight on my list. Like, no, I'm not dealing with that. No, if you're not gonna take an interest in me, if you're not gonna find out more about me or want to, like, I'm not. Why would I want to be in a situation where somebody is not interested and doesn't care about me, right? So I say all that to say, when it comes to your target audience, you need to know who it is you're looking for. It's like knowing who you want to date in the future, or like who that perfect partner, perfect husband, perfect wife, whatever, who that perfect person is. And even if you don't know who that perfect husband or perfect person is, you should know who you don't want to work with, or who you're not interested in, or who you don't want to date, whatever. You should be very clear and like have an idea like, oh no, I'm not dealing with people who hit me up any time of day. I'm not dealing with anybody who doesn't pay their invoices on time. Like I'm not dealing, like there should just be certain things that you're not going to deal with. I think that is a big part of understanding who your target audience is, just as much as understanding the demographics, the psyche, the things they think about, all of that stuff. So yeah, when it comes to your audience, make sure you're staying away from the one size fits all or trying to please everybody, trying to sell at everybody. That's one way to make sure business, your brand ends up in the social media graveyard. Don't want you to end up in the social media graveyard. It's a horrible place. It's a scary place. It's like the Lion King, everything that the shadow touches, you stay away. Okay, just stay away, Simba. Stay away. Make sure you're checking your insights, check the data. If you notice like most of the people that follow me, most of the people that engage, most of the people that interact are all women around this age, and they seem to all have kids and they're in this sector, like that should be a big clue to like let you know, oh, that might be that's part of my profile, that's part of the people I'm targeting. And then when it comes to building your avatar, right, that avatar should represent a certain section. Remember I mentioned earlier the target market, which is everybody who could potentially be interested in your product or service, your brand, whatever. That's anybody. That's everybody that might potentially be interested. When you have a target audience, that's a specific group out of that market that you're focused on, right? Subset. And when you build your avatar, when you use the avatar worksheet, that avatar should be a representation of that smaller group, not of the whole market, but of that smaller group. It should be a representation of that group. So when it comes to different products, different services, things like that, you can build different avatars for different groups. Don't feel like you just have to focus on one, because I know a lot of people deal with that where they feel like if I only focus on one person or if I only focus on one group, I'm going to miss out on everybody else. When in actuality, that's going to help you come across as more reliable, more experienced, more guided, because your messaging and your content and everything you're doing is very specific and is very targeted. So you're going to attract a lot more of those people. And then that doesn't have to be permanent. You don't only have to focus on that one group. But when you're, let's say, releasing a new offer, you're releasing a new product, you want to be very specific about who you're focusing on so you can have the best ROI. You can get the best return on that investment that you put into it, whether that's creating the content, the money that goes into the time and energy that goes into creating a course or a product or whatever it is. The clearer you are about who your audience is and who that's for means you can be more targeted, more specific, more direct with your messaging and your content, which is going to get you much better results. Your avatar should be something that's growing. It's constantly evolving. It's constantly changing. You have different ones for different sections of your audience. Always be testing, always be adding to it, always be subtracting to it, always be making sure that it's still as dialed in as possible. So yeah, make sure you go download the avatar worksheet. It's very helpful. It's very useful. It gives you a lot of clarity. And if you feel like you don't know all the answers, you're not sure about everything on there, that's perfectly fine. That just gives you something to research. That just gives you something to look for. In the comments, I want to know who your audience is, who your target audience is. And if you have an avatar, I want to know details about them, like who that person is. How clear are you on who that person is? Drop that in the comments. Let me know. All right. I'll see you on the next one.